Thank you, Dan. Jennifer, would you please pull a ticket for me?
Absolutely. Okay. Here we go.
Last three numbers, 367. Very good. We have a copy of one of Jennifer's books, The True You.
Great.
You're welcome. Next, I'd like to introduce our speaker, Jennifer Blair. Jennifer's passionate commitment to her work focuses on personal and professional life coaching, creative and entrepreneurial consulting, inspirational speaking, writing, and occasionally teaching salsa dancing. You going to demonstrate tonight?
Not tonight.
Her extensive coaching skills and personal experiences allow Jennifer to create compassion and trust with her clients to move them forward to envision and embrace their definition of success. She assists them in creating life balance, unearthing their strengths and values, overcoming fears and limiting beliefs, setting goals, and integrating sustainable change not only in what they do, but in who they are becoming. Her lifelong leadership experiences, extensive coaches training through the Coaches Training Institute, and public speaking are making a difference in the lives of clients, audiences, and readers all over the country. As a native Texan, Jennifer graduated from Southern Methodist University and served in various communication roles for EDS, Senator Lloyd Benson's office, and the Louisville Bar Association. Her numerous volunteer activities have allowed her to mentor women, especially her roles as president of the Junior League of Louisville, co-chair of the Race for the Cure, co-director of Greater Louisville Outstanding Women, GLOW, and president of the International Coaches Federation, ICF, Ohio Valley Chapter. From 2007 to 2012, she wrote a monthly column focusing on in-depth life coaching issues for Underwired magazine. A compilation of this work, The True You, Tools to Excavate, Explore, and Evolve, was published and released in January 2012. Please give Jennifer a warm welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, let's make sure. Hi, everybody. I'll make sure you can hear me. Sound okay? So I am thrilled to be here tonight. Thank you, Betty, Dan, and everybody who put this together. I'm thrilled to be here to talk to you about life balance tonight. How many of you know what a life coach does? Has anybody heard of life coaching? So I thought I would just give you a little bit of a definition of that because people look at me and like, do you coach a sports team or what do you do? But life coaching is simply about taking an individual or a company or a group of people and working with them to move them forward, to move towards goals, to help them better understand themselves. People ask if I'm like a therapist. A little bit, but I'm a lot more fun. And I don't work on past issues. I work on moving people forward. We like to say we don't explain why, we help you say, okay, what am I going to do about that, and get people into action. So I started my company called Excavive, which means to excavate your life. And I was really inspired to create this company because I had, as Betty said in this lovely introduction, I've worked for years in working with women in a volunteer role, and I just saw how people forget their greatness. They forget how fabulous they are. And I saw that there was a need to really help people better understand themselves and understand how they can create great lives and have a better definition around that. So that inspired me to create my company Excavive, which I'm now going into my 15th year of coaching. I coach people all over the country by phone or by Skype, as well as I have a large practice in Louisville, Kentucky, and I also do corporate trainings and that sort of thing as well. But tonight, I'm excited about this topic because this is honestly one of my favorite topics to talk about. We're going to talk about life balance. I'm going to give you the definition. You've got some handouts. We're going to work on some tools together and hopefully have a lot of fun with it. So, what I like to say is I'm about helping people to create excellence. Oh, yay, this clicker works. All about excellence. So excellence is the result of caring more than others think is wise, risking more than others think is safe, dreaming more than others think is practical, and expecting more than others think is possible. So, like I said, I work with individuals in helping them to create success. And speaking of success, I like to give a definition of success, because in today's world, we often think of success as how much money we've made or what position or power that we have attained. And I like to really give a different definition of success than what you might be used to, because I believe that success is such a highly personal definition. So success is your definition, but I believe there are some components to it. So the components to success, and I believe we need a combination of these things, both personally and professionally. We need life balance, which is the piece that we're going to work on tonight. We need personal connection. We need to be able to connect with people and not forget about if we're working so many hours or we don't have enough time to spend with the people we love, then I question if our life is fully successful. So we need personal connection both at work and in community, in our families and homes. We also need passionate pursuits, those things that we get excited about, and we're going to talk a little bit about passion tonight as well. We also need joyful accomplishments. We do need to feel like we're accomplishing things in the world and that we have goals and we set forth that. Again, a piece of that definition. And then at the last part of it is I believe we need service opportunities, that we need to be of service and be able to share in the things that we have been blessed with and to give back with either our money, our time, our energy, and to be of service as well. So that is my definition of success. So I'm giving you guys a few definitions before we get into life balance, because I think the bottom line is we all want to be happy. That's what we want in life. And if we can kind of expand our definitions, I think we can find more joy in our daily lives than that already exist. So we're going to set the stage before we get into life balance. And I've got 3 questions I want to propose to you to sort of a check-in with yourself. My first question is, are you living a full life today? Dr. Sonia Friedman says the greatest gift you will ever have is your life. And the second greatest gift, which you give to yourself, is the courage to live it to the fullest. Time goes by quickly, and you cannot take it for granted. Appreciate how far you've come and give yourself the gift of discovering how far you can yet go. There are many aspects of life that people feel good about and successful, but are you really living it fully, that you are making the most of your life? So that's the first question. The second question I propose is, do you feel alive and passionate about what you're doing? Gil Bailey says, don't ask yourself what the world needs, ask yourself what makes you come alive, and go with that, because what the world needs are people who come alive. That aliveness and that passion is the fuel that keeps us going sometimes. So again, passion. Do you get excited about your day? Do you wake up and go, oh, I can't wait? So again, do you feel alive and do you feel passionate? And my third question is, what do you want more of? What do you want more of? Is it joy or peace, love, abundance, laughter, excitement, prosperity, recognition? There's always something more that people want other than the things that we try to attain. So what is it that you really want more of? So my goal today is to give you a taste of life balance and really what that means. But I hope you'll keep these 3 questions in mind. Are you living a full life? Do you feel alive and passionate about what you're doing? And what do you want more of? And so to hold that perspective as we're going through and talking about what life balance is. So life balance. Has anybody heard of work-life balance? How many people hear this? It's talked about in the media an awful lot, work-life balance. Well, I can tell you right now, I do not believe in work-life balance, just to get that out of the way. I believe in life balance, and as you'll see in a few minutes, work is only a small piece of life when it comes to life balance. There's only life balance. So when I have people say to me, come talk to us about work-life balance, I'm like, oh, but there are 7 other areas in life besides work. And so it's a definition that I try to help people understand differently. So when you hear the word balance, I looked it up, and I wish I could say I looked it up in my dictionary at home, but I looked it up at dictionary.com, like so many of us use our technology. And a balance means a state of emotional stability in which you are calm and able to make sound decisions, to be in equilibrium, to arrange or adjust. That's the definition of balance. So when you think about that in your life, it would lead me to believe that I should be calm all the time and that I should make sound decisions all the time, which is not always the case. So I'm going to make a case for balance real quickly. The first, and there are several myths, and I'm going to give you the truth. The first myth is that you must be even-tempered. Well, the truth is, balance encompasses a full range of emotions. So part of what I love about being a coach is that we get to encompass everything in life. So the first thing is that you get to have your full range of emotions. The second is that balance should be effortless, that if everything's balanced and in place, life should be easy. I don't actually believe that's true because life isn't that simple. I think that balance is efficient. If we have awareness about what we're trying to create in balance, it'll make us more efficient. The third myth is that you must be in control all the time. I'm sure there's no one here who thinks that. The truth is you must be flexible and adaptable and be able to take what comes and create from that. So it's really not about control. The next myth is you must be good at everything. And the truth is, balance requires you to prioritize and to choose not to always be good at everything, but to know what you're good at and to know what excites you and do that. And the last myth is that imbalance will result in disaster. If you're out of balance, life's going to fall apart. And the truth is, imbalance and things that come along, to me, are an opportunity for change. It's about awareness. So my hope tonight is to give you more awareness about life balance and what that really means. So we're going to do a life balance exercise together. Everyone has handouts. It should look like the wheel, my balance wheel of life. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually go through, and I'm going to describe each life area, and we're going to do this kind of rating system together. So, and for those of you who are watching online, I hope that the handouts are uploaded at this point, but you'll want to look for balance in your life is the first handout. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pick an area on the wheel. I'm going to give you my definition of it because it may be a little different definition than what you're looking at. And then you're going to rate it for yourself on a scale of 0 to 10 of how satisfied you are in that particular area of your life at this moment in time. So 0 is I have absolutely no satisfaction. 10 is, I can't imagine life any better than this. I've hit the absolute ultimate. So 0 to 10. You can use half numbers. I don't do negative numbers. It won't work on my wheel. And I figure if there's that little satisfaction, we just start at 0. So 0 to 10. What I usually do when I do this exercise with my individual clients is we mark it in the middle. You'll see the little diagram that shows the little lines. You can kind of scale it and mark it. And I write the number on the outside. So again, it's however you want to use this piece of paper, but this kind of gives you a way this is a snapshot of your life at this moment in time. So we're looking at the perspective of tonight, this evening, how satisfied are you? If you were to do this tomorrow or the next day, it might change drastically. You might get a phone call something that's really exciting and your number in a certain area would change. So it's really a snapshot of life and what that looks like today. So the first area we're going to talk about is career and education. And the question is, or my definition of career and education is, education is only on here if you desire more formal training for a career. It is not a wine tasting class unless you want to become a sommelier, or sewing class unless you want to become a professional seamstress. So this is really only relevant, the educational piece is relevant only if you want more formal training. Career is about what you do. And some people may say, well, maybe I don't have a career. I've been a stay-at-home mom, which I was for 10 years. And I do believe stay-at-home moms have huge jobs. They are working all the time. So this is about the career and education area of your life. So my question to you is, do you love what you do? Are you satisfied and happy with your current career and level of education? So let's all rate it on a scale of 0 to 10. Again, 0 being no satisfaction, 10 being the greatest amount of satisfaction, and rate that and see where you are. What I like to do in groups like this is I like to ask, and I don't call on people, but I like to say if you've rated it like an 8, 9, or 10, I'd love to see who rates it high. I never ask for low numbers. And if you have something to share about why you love that, then I'd love to make this an interactive discussion. If not, that's okay too, because I know these can be very personal answers. So, career and education. Did anyone rate that 8, 9, or 10 for themselves? Great. Is there a reason that you love what you do? Because I consider those numbers high. Anybody want to share that? Great. Yes. You've been doing what you do 38 years? So and you still love it. I think that's fantastic. Oh, I think Dan's trying to put the microphone.
Test. Jennifer, when we get questions, we'll just need to have people speak into the mic so that the people online can hear them.
Okay, great. Great. So thank you for sharing that. So if you don't have a high number on your career wheel, that's okay. Then just say, you know, here's an area that perhaps there's room for improvement. Maybe you're in transition, but we'll see where your wheel ends up for the end of the night. So again, career and education. I think we've lost our PowerPoint. Oh, okay, great. Thank you, guys. So we're going to move on to the next area of the wheel, money. So this is the one that everybody in the audience usually stares at me and says, oh, please, we don't want to have to talk about this. Money is not an easy subject to talk about. Oh, thank you so much. So money. I'm not interested in how much you have or how much you make. What I'm curious about in this part of life is your relationship with money. And what does money do for you? What do you want your money for? Some people need it to feel secure. I do believe that the definition of security is really about knowing that you can make it and start over if you had to. But money is, how satisfied are you? Do you spend time with your money? Do you understand it? Do you nurture it? Do you take care of it? So again, it is about this area of your life and what does it mean to you? Everybody has a different definition for themselves of satisfaction when it comes to money, but it does inform everything that we do in life. And let's face it, we need money to be able to do the things we do in life. So let's rate that on a scale of 0 to 10. Quickly. And by the way, if you came with friends, I always say, don't look at your neighbor's paper because some people might like to keep that private. It's always funny when I do this with couples. Sometimes I see couples like not wanting to show this to their spouse. And so they can do that later if they want to. But so money, again. I encourage people in this particular area of life when it comes to money, if you don't know, if you if you're struggling in some area, there are so many amazing resources out there to help people. Even if you get online and you do some research, if you have questions, please feel free to email me. I can recommend books. Being an entrepreneur and starting my own business, I have to create my abundance every single month and every single day. And I've read a lot about money and how to be in the right mindset to attract money and to be in an expansive mindset. And I think that is a piece of it as well. So if you have questions about that, please feel free to email, and I can give you book suggestions as well. But again, there are enormous amount of resources when it comes to money. And this is a place where people tend to perhaps not take care of it as much as they need to. But again, it's just as important as everything else on the wheel. So our next area is health and wellness. So health and wellness covers a lot of areas. This covers sleep. How many people get enough sleep at night? This is always a difficult one. It covers sleep. It covers nutrition, how you eat. It covers any medical issues you may be encountering and you're having to deal with. It covers how you look and feel about yourself. It covers exercise. This area also encompasses not just your physical body, but also your emotional and mental well-being. Do you see life as the glass half full or a glass half empty? So how does health and wellness play a part in your life? Do you make time to exercise? Because this is the thing I see when people get very ambitious about trying to achieve a goal, or they're working a lot, or they're coming home to exercise seems to get kind of put to the side a lot of times. But to me, this is an area that's important to take care of, because if you don't have your health and you can't show up for the rest of the other parts of your life and do as well. So again, health and wellness. So let's rate that on a scale of 0 to 10. How satisfied you are in your own health and wellness area. And again, this is always this time of year, this is when people are struggling because how many people made resolutions at the beginning of the year? Few people. I'm not a huge fan of resolutions, because I feel like by this time of year, people have already felt like they've failed from them. So, but this is the one that people always set off to have great goals at the beginning of the year, and somehow it doesn't stick. So I always say that if you're one of those people, you can always begin again at any given moment and set yourself up for success. The other thing I want to say about the health and wellness piece of things is that I think this is an area that when we have a partner, or we have an accountability person, we go to the gym and maybe we work out with people, or we have friends that I know have girlfriends that I walk with, that you can actually, I love the Fitbits. If anybody has a Fitbit where you count steps, everything counts. That's what I love, in that movement. So really, this is an important thing, especially as people age, to really take care of their health and wellness. So again, rate that on a scale of 0 to 10. The next area is, clicking here, friends and family. So friends and family, I'm going to talk about this separately, but this is about your relationships, excluding your romantic relationship. That gets its own piece of the pie. But this is about your relationships. So you have your family. This can include a spouse or significant other, children, parents, siblings, grandparents, aunts, uncles. It's even friends, family friends that you have considered family for a long time. So family is one, that's the definition of family. It's however you want to include in your definition for your life. When it comes to friends, I believe we have many different types of friends. Many. I believe we have what I call our archival friends. And archival friends are the people who have known us for years, and they have bared witness to our lives. They're the ones who I know that I'm going on a trip of my grade school girlfriends. We've been friends for over 30 years, so you can do the math with that one. But we do a girls' trip every year, and we've done this for the last 20 years. One person lives in Dallas, another person lives in Tyler, Texas, someone else in Kansas City, and this is how we all connect and stay in touch. And it's always amazing to me when I come together with them that it's like nothing has changed. It's like a coming home again. So those are your archival friends. Then we have our social friends. Do you have those friends where they're just fun to be around? They lighten the mood. They make you laugh. Maybe you have social friends for a certain thing, people you like to go to the movies with, or you like to, as I call it, lunching and dinnering, that you like to go out and entertain, or you entertain in your homes. We may have friends at churches or volunteer organizations. We also have our friends from work, and that's a different type of friend than perhaps your friends that you would have in another capacity. And then we have our closest friends. And I believe we truly only have a few close, deep friendships. So when I'm looking at the friends and family area, what I'm really curious about is, how satisfied are you with your relationships? Do you spend time with them? Do you make the time and stay connected with your friends? I think it's always a difficult thing when you get busy in life and then you don't talk to people as often, to stay connected with that many people. And I do want to have a little side note here about technology. I have two children, 24 and 22, and they grew up in the world of technology, of cell phones and computers and Snapchatting, and all the different types of social media that are out there. You can see I don't do Snapchat. And what I've seen and what I've witnessed is they are so used to communicating by text messages that I sometimes wonder if they have the ability to sit in front of somebody and have a conversation. I'm seeing people nod. So I'm always saying to my kids, don't text them, pick up the phone and call, go meet somebody in person. You must have, I think text message is great to say, hey, I'm on my way, be there at 7. It's a good thing for quick pieces of information, but it does not take the place of relationships. It does not take the place of being able to hear tone and timing and someone's voice. So I'm sure most people in this room are not texting all the time, because I think that a lot of people understand that, but I kind of get on my soapbox a little bit about that because I've just seen how people have neglected that. Yes, you have a question.
I see it as positive because
I think let me get you yes, microphone here. Thank you.
Barbara.
Hi, Barbara.
I see it as a positive because we have family that lives far away and friends,
Absolutely.
and we keep in touch a great deal,
right,
because of the technology.
Right. And that is the benefit of it.
And it's by choice. We don't really do like political stuff. I don't use it for that reason, but
Right.
it definitely keeps our ties.
Right, absolutely, and thank you for that. I believe you're absolutely right. I love, for instance, Facebook, that you can see photographs. In fact, I got on Facebook initially because I had clients requesting that I get on there. They're like, oh, but I want you to see pictures of my children. I want you to see pictures of this. And I love that. And the other thing I heard you say, Barbara, that I love about that is that you guys have designed that. It's like an agreement amongst her family. This is how we're going to stay connected through our technology because we live far away in other places. And I think that's fantastic. It's a great way. I have a group chat with my mother, my sister, her daughter, and my daughter. We call ourselves the Blair Women. So we have a Blair Women group chat. And we're sending fun things we run across on the computer, 5 ways to be your best self. I'm usually sending them things. They're like, Jennifer's still at it. And but that's for a fun thing. I guess what I'm really referring to is if you have a difficult conversation, please don't do that by text message. Those are not the places to do it. In fact, I love Don Miguel Ruiz wrote a book called The 4 Agreements, and I love his book about relationships because he kind of gives a guideline to relationships that makes it really easy in the world. He says, the first thing is be impeccable with your word. Just be impeccable with whatever you say, your words. Words have such power and meaning. Be impeccable with those. Be choiceful about your words. Know that words can't be taken back. So be impeccable with your words. The second thing he says is don't take anything personally. That's a tough one, but people are out there doing the best they can. But if you cannot take things so personally, it's very helpful. The third is don't make assumptions. I can't tell you how often, especially in my coaching practice when I'm working with people, that they make assumptions about things. And I will say to them, is that really true? And how do you know that's true? And once they start to think about it, what they realized, ooh, I'm really putting my own thoughts around this of something that isn't actually true. So I try to live by don't make assumptions. And then the fourth is such an easy one, just always do your best. So I love this book, The Four Agreements, when it comes to how to have healthy relationships. So again, friends and family. The last thing I want to say about this area, and please rate it at any time from a scale of 0 to 10, is how are those relationships? How are you doing with those? But also be thoughtful about, what do you get from your relationships? There's so many of us that are giving and that we show up to be there for them, but I think relationships are reciprocal. And it's important to know, why do you have those relationships in your life? Why do you want those friends? And if you're aware of that, and all of this that I'm talking about tonight is simply just bringing awareness, if you know what that is for you and what you really get out of that, it can be companionship, it can be connection, it can be working on a common cause. One of the things that I'm really enjoy is I love to go to cultural events. I'm involved in the art museum in Louisville. And so I have my group of art friends, and we go to theater and we do some different things. They're my friends that I love. What I get out of them is companionship to the arts. And then we can go and talk about the play we just saw and debate that and what we saw and loved about it. So it's sort of an enriching experience for me. And we get that from each other. So again, relationships are reciprocal. And I believe that we need to put into them as much as we get out of them, and just to have the awareness of that. So again, on a scale of 0 to 10, how would you rate your relationship area with family and friends? The next area is romantic relationship. So the first thing I want to say about this is, if you're not in one, it does not make it a 0. And if you're in one, it does not make it a 10. So this is not about, do you have one or not? This is about, do you feel loved in this relationship? How satisfied are you with your partner? Are you happy with your partner and what the two of you have created? How do you love and how do you feel loved? And there's a book that I love, The 5 Love Languages. Is anybody familiar with the 5 love languages? Gary Chapman wrote this book, and he said there are 5 ways in which people feel loved. Quality time, spending time with somebody where someone's actually really present to what's the experience you're having. The second is words of affirmation, the I love yous, the I appreciate yous. By the way, I think that men like to hear that they are appreciated for what they do. Women like to hear I love you. There's just a little bit difference. Not to say that men don't want to hear that I love you too, but I see a gentleman shaking his head. They want to feel appreciated, I promise you. The third is gifts. We hope our partner knows us well enough to know the perfect gift to buy us. I honestly think that we set our men up for failure with this sometimes, because we expect them to know, and honestly they don't always know. So we can help people out by saying, here's what would make me happy. But gifts, again, it's knowing to find the right gift for somebody. The fourth is acts of service, and that's doing the laundry, taking out the trash, doing things around the house, running errands, helping enrich someone's life by an act of service. And the fifth is physical touch. So Gary Chapman's theory on this is he believes that everybody feels loved in all 5 ways, but that you may feel loved primarily there's a priority in which you feel loved. To you may feel loved by quality time, and your partner feels loved with physical touch. So they're doing something to instigate that. You're doing something to try to spend time together, and it's sort of a misfire. So I believe everybody needs all 5, but it just happens to be the priority of what someone needs in that moment, and those can change. So again, it's having awareness in trying to meet your partner's needs and know what they're looking for and what they want. And the other thing I want to say about romantic relationship is that I think it's so important in this area to bring your best to your partner. Many times we're with our partners and we're using them to say, oh, I had a bad day and here's what happened. I think you also need to, and we also get busy with everything else in life that we're trying to do. And we don't always keep enough of our best selves for our partners. So I always like to encourage people to say, when is your best? When does your best show up? And find some time that you can bring your best to your partner and spend time together. Sometimes I've had clients where they both have busy jobs and they've got kids at night and they're just, by the end of the day, they're exhausted and tired. So they may go to lunch once a week during the day when they're still have energy, or they have date nights and they have a sitter come in or have family watch the children. So I think it's important to really leave some of your best for your spouse, partner, or what that looks like. So again, this is the romantic relationship area. One other thing I want to say for those of you who do not have partners at the moment, it doesn't make it a 0, because you might be really happy with your life as it is, and that you don't necessarily need that to be happy in life right now. So that's why I say it does not, or you may be single by choice. So that's why I say it does not necessarily make this a 0 if you don't have someone in your life. So again, if you want to rate this on a scale of 0 to 10, that would be great. So our next area, personal growth, spirituality, and religion. The first thing I will say about this is my attempt to be all-encompassing and inclusive of everyone's beliefs. So religion and spirituality, some people look at themselves as religious. They've been brought up in church. Church is important to them. Other people look at this area of life as spiritual. Personal growth is on there for people who they really look at this part of life as that. But what I think the important thing is in this particular area of life is to know what you believe in. Do you know? Many people are brought up a certain way. They've been taught to think a certain way, believe a certain way. And as they get older, they start to question that. So my encouragement here is to know what you believe. And also, this area of life is important because I think this is a very strong grounding area for life. And there are so many different tools that you can use in terms of prayer and meditation and gratitude, attending church, honoring God, or whatever your belief system is. And for many people, this is what really grounds and drives them. So again, it's what do you believe in? I also think it's important, I mentioned the prayer and meditation, there's also journaling. I think it's important to have rituals for yourself and to practice those on a daily basis. I know that when I'm coaching people, this is a question that I ask people before I get started in coaching them, because I want to understand what their beliefs are so that I'm honoring them. I'm not going to suggest that they pray about something if that's not something that they believe in or practice. I want to make sure that I'm honoring what those beliefs are. So again, for you, do you know what you believe in? Do you feel good about those beliefs? And how sad, and your relationship with God or a higher power. So how satisfied are you in this particular moment? You can rate that on a scale of 0 to 10. Our next area is fun and play, which happens to be one of my favorite areas. So fun and play, I have 2 definitions for this. The first is, are you having fun? Are you having fun in what you do day to day? When you go to work, are you having fun at work? When you're doing the chores around the house, are you turning on fun music and finding joy in doing this? So are you having fun with the things that you do? That's sort of the being of fun. And then this also includes the fun activities, the hobbies that you may have. You might like to travel. You might enjoy volunteer work. This is where I see community service come in. It's anything that you do that really brings that great joy. Betty mentioned in the introduction about my salsa dancing. So when I was in my early 40s, I was recently divorced, and I had always loved the music. And I started with an Argentine tango class, and then I met somebody in that class who taught salsa, and I started dancing salsa, and I was dancing about 3 or 4 days a week, to the point where I would pick my children up from school. We would go to the dance studio. They would work on their homework while mom was out there practicing, and I got pretty good. I danced pretty consistently for about 10 years, and it brought me so much joy. And I met so many interesting people from that, and I still do. I really don't teach it much anymore, but I've had so many wonderful experiences from that fun hobby. My current hobby is that I'm doing floral design. In fact, I must say that Cincinnati has one of the best floral designers and teachers that I've ever had. So I actually come to Cincinnati from Kentucky to take floral design classes, and that's my recent hobby. In fact, I posted on my Facebook page and XKV Facebook page and Instagram, because for me, it's a place where I get to create and put beauty in the world, and I get to do the textures and fill up my house with flowers. And when I go to someone's home, instead of taking a bottle of wine, I take a floral arrangement as a thank you for my hostess gifts. So if you invite me over for dinner, then you might get a floral design arrangement. So again, fun and play. What do you love doing? Do you like hiking, walking, skiing, boating? What do you love doing? And are you giving yourself permission to actually have some fun? One of the things that you all have that I gave you guys is my bookmark. And on that bookmark is a permission slip. And so I encourage you after this evening to write yourself a permission slip. It's like it was designed after the permission slips that I used to write for my kids to go on field trips. I'm giving you a permission slip for you to write for yourself something that you can do to go out there and have fun in the world. I don't believe we have enough fun. And this, to me, can sometimes be the portal into an area of life to make another part of life better. I'll give you an example. We started off talking about career and education. And I get hired quite a bit as a coach for people's career. I think they feel like that you can justify hiring a coach if you need a job change or trying to be better at a particular area of work. So I get hired for career. And the exercise I'm doing with you guys is always the first thing I do with my clients, because I want to take a snapshot and see where they are in life, what's working, what's not working for them. And we go through this and we discuss it. I get feedback along the way. And it's always interesting to me, because I can tell you that probably 75 to 80% of the people that come to me for career coaching, that when we get to the fun and play area, this is generally a pretty low number. 3, 4, sometimes 2, maybe 5 if we're lucky. And so the first thing we do is we talk about fun and play and what they think about that. And when we start to add in some fun and enjoyment, and it's amazing to me how suddenly their career seems to be a little bit better. They're a little bit happier at work. So it's one of the reasons why I like this wheel of life, and it's to say to you that all these areas are connected. And I cannot stress the importance of how much you can get from fun and play in your life. It's a connecting thing. It helps you be connected to yourself when you really find those things that you're passionate about, that you enjoy. It connects you to others. So fun and play, I really want to encourage everyone to put more fun and play in your life. And if you don't know what those things are, then it can be a great adventure to discover that. I've had clients create like a fun list, and even they'll get together with their family or their spouses, and they'll list everything they want to do for fun on a piece of paper. They'll cut out the slips, they'll put it in a jar, and every Saturday they'll say, okay, we're going to have our fun afternoon, and they'll pull out a slip of paper, and that will be their activity they'll do. And I've seen people have great fun with that. I've seen people create their bucket list. Does anyone have a bucket list, or you've heard the term bucket list? They have their fun list. So they have the bucket list, which are the big things, but they also have a second list that's really those 25 fun things I like to do. So when they get a moment, they look at this and go, oh, I forgot. Let's go do this. So lots and lots of things you can do around trying to bring more fun and play into your life. I also like to say one last thing about this is that it's important to choose your playgrounds and your playmates. So make sure that you are choosing the fun people to do things with on the right playgrounds that you want to. So again, fun and play. And the last area on the wheel is our physical spaces. And physical spaces can be broken down into 3 areas. So the first, and people kind of look at me funny, is I say, your car. Because a lot of people spend a great amount of time in their cars. I drove up here today from Kentucky, and it took me a little over 2 hours to get here. So if I'm in a car that doesn't feel safe or is dirty, I'm going to be irritated for 2 hours before I get here and would not be as happy tonight. So make sure I clean up my car. For people who are in sales jobs and their car is a place that they spend quite a bit of time, it becomes their office. So you want to make sure that that feels good. And again, you feel safe in that. Another area is your office and where you work. We spend so many hours, so many of our waking hours at work. Are you happy with the space that you have? Does anybody in this room have any clutter at all? Any clutter. And when you walk in and you see to your office, or it could be home, and you walk in and you see this, and you look at this, the pile of books or papers or whatever that is, you go, gosh, it's still there. No one came and cleaned it up for me. It's fascinating to me. I believe that that has energy. Those piles are kind of speaking to us and saying, I'm still here. We walk through and we're not happy about it. Our physical spaces impact us greatly. And again, the third area, so we have car, we have our offices, we have our homes. And I think it's important in our homes to have one space in your home that you feel really good in. It's your space. It's a place you can call your own, that it gets to be fully yours. So it's important to have a space that you feel good in. Our space, again, it impacts us. It impacts how we feel. It impacts our mood. It impacts our creativity and our ability to solve problems. So I always say that this is a place to really be in order for how it's best for you. I'm not suggesting everybody needs to go home and clean out everything, because some people are very comfortable in chaos and disorder, and they can walk over to a pile and pull anything out they need to find. So it's not about perfection, and it's not about it being a certain way. It's about what makes you feel good, what brings peace in your surroundings to you. That's really what physical spaces are. So I do suggest, if you need to clean out the clutter, then create a way in which you can do that. It might be that you need someone to assist you. You might need to bring someone in to help you make those decisions. There have been some great books that have come out in the last few years about how to make decisions on what you keep and what you get rid of. So clutter, and that has so much attachment for people. In fact, in our session this afternoon with the team here at Frame USA, I asked people to go around the room to start off with and name one thing that they had accomplished and felt great about. And one person actually spoke to the fact that they had cleaned out their son's clothing and had purged what they needed to and sent that to Goodwill. Such a good feeling when you do that. So again, physical spaces, don't neglect that as well. So please go ahead and write that on a scale of 0 to 10. So when you look at your wheel, you might have a variety of numbers on your wheel. I can tell you that of all my years of doing this and having done this at this point with thousands of people, I've never seen anybody have, I take that back, I've had one person have perfect 10s all the way around. It happens to be my best friend that lives in Cincinnati that I'm having dinner with later tonight. And I looked at her and said, well, then you need to go to 20. If you have perfect 10s, it's time to add something else into your life. So my last question about this wheel is, when you look at your life and you look at these different areas and numbers that you have come up with, I'm curious if you were just to think about your life overall. If you go back to the questions I asked at the beginning of around a joy and around passion and feeling alive, when you look at your life now on an overall scale, how would you rate that? And there's a place in the corner that you can put that overall life happiness number. So I suggest you go ahead and write that number as well. That just helps to look at, to say, if I've got a lot of 5s, 6s, and 7s, but I've rated my overall life as a 10, then something's disconnected, and with the details and how you view your life, and hopefully you can look at how you can reconcile that. So again, this is my definition of life balance. As you can see, it's not as simple as work and life. It really is about encompassing all 8 areas of life. So, oops, this is not going for here. So what's next? You have this information. You've seen where some things are really working great. Maybe there's a few areas that are not working so great. And what do you do with this? I think it's great to have awareness, but I also think it's great to get some tools and some ideas about how do you then tackle creating more joy and more satisfaction in your life. So my belief is it's really about prioritizing and choosing. I suggest picking one area on the wheel that you're like, this is the area that's maybe bothering me, that I would like to have some more satisfaction in. I'd like this area to be better. Maybe pick one area and focus on that first, and come up with some ideas on how you can choose to make that better. Again, do you have enough time to do the things you want to do? Do you have the resources to do what you want to do? Again, you can come up with some strategies for this. So the next handout that I have for you is Inspired Action Items. And this is a tool that I use, and it's not for you to take this tool and try to complete every area, 3 items in every area. It's taking a look at your wheel and saying, okay, for the areas that I want to maybe improve and have some additional satisfaction in, I'm going to focus on, let's say, romantic relationship and physical spaces. My suggestion is come up with 3 action items that are inspiring to you. Not something you think you should do. The word should is sort of a sign that perhaps that may not be the best choice. But what is something that I would be willing to do, that I could take to improve that part? And I like to work in 3s. That's sort of a personal preference. If you come up with 15 things to do in a certain area, it can become overwhelming, and like, oh, I just won't do it at all. So I like to say, pick 3. And once you've done 3 things, you can do 3 more. But I like to work in 3s when I'm prioritizing what I do. So you can take this based on your will and come up with 3 action items in the areas that you want to work on. If you do want to fill it out and have 3 action items in every single area, you can feel free to do that, but it's a lot to take on to do that. So just pick the areas that you want to prioritize. And it's a great tool. And I've got the little boxes you can check off once it's done. I know people like to check things off their list. So again, the criteria for this is to make sure that it's something that you are inspired by. Again, the areas of life you want more succulence, more joy, more passion, more fun, more love. Consider your friendships, your love life, your children, nature, adventure, your body, spirituality, family, the things that are important to you. And then look at this list and prioritize and put some things down. Again, if you see a should on there, I suggest you just mark it off the list and replace it with something else. Come up with something that's really exciting. I also encourage you to find somebody that maybe attended this program tonight, someone you came with, and perhaps you share your list with. Say, okay, this is an area of life that I'm going to work on. What are you going to work on? I'm going to share these action items with you, as well as, and share this vice versa, and create sort of an accountability partner. There's enormous power when you share something that you want to change in life and someone witnesses that. Again, share this with somebody or someone who wasn't here to just say, I've got some things I'm going to work on for myself, and I'd like to share them with you so that once I finish them, I can celebrate that. Or if you want them to hold you accountable and say, will you check in with me in about 2 weeks or a month and see how it's going? Honestly, it's one of the reasons why people hire coaches is for that very reason, because one of the biggest things I do is I hold people accountable to the things they want to create in life. So it's something that you can certainly do with others, with other people without needing a coach. So any questions so far for what we've covered? I've got a couple more things I want to share with you guys tonight, but does anybody have any questions around this? It's pretty simple. And I will say this, it's a really simple tool that is something that I have used over and over again. It's also a tool that now that you know about it, let's say that a few months from now, you're just having a bad day or you're in a bad mood, you don't really know why, or something just seems a little off. You can take out this wheel, go around, rate it for yourself, go, I know what it is. I haven't seen my friends enough. Or, wow, I need time in solitude. I haven't had enough time alone to be contemplative or thoughtful. So it's also an area that this is a great tool that you can use just to kind of come back to. It's also an area, if you have goals that you set for yourself, that you can look at it today and then come back to in 6 months or a year and see if you really have made progress. It's a way to sort of measure that and see if you're moving in the direction that you want to. So I love that. Something else that I've included for you guys tonight is the third handout, and that is my self-care excavating peace and serenity. And I decided to include it in this presentation because I think people are well-intended with what they want to do. People like say, yes, I'm gonna lose 10 pounds, I'm gonna lose 20 pounds, I'm gonna do this, achieve this goal in my career. And I think we're well-intended, but sometimes things get in the way. And stress is one of the biggest things that holds people back, that and fear. Fear is another thing that I see that really holds people back. But stress is something that I see that we as a culture and society, we're needing to learn new ways to deal with it. We have so much more coming at us than we used to. So I believe that stress is something to pay attention to. Plus, we also know the impact that stress has on our physical bodies, our mental well-being, and there's so much proven about that. So these are my 20 suggestions on ways that you can, I call it de-stressing. It is a way in which, didn't click this ahead. It's a way in which we can, there it is, a way in which you can choose 1 or 2 tools. It's not about trying to do all 20 of these. It simply is a list for you to find something that resonates with you and then do that one thing. Do that one thing for 21 days. They say it takes 21 days to create a new habit. Do it for a month and see if that makes an impact in your life. I know for me, one of the best tools that I can use is I journal. I write. I get up, if I only have 10 minutes in a day, I write something down, and I always say that I can work anything out on the paper. I can work out any solution with pen to paper. So I'm a big fan of journaling. I also meditate, and one of the other things I do is I practice extreme gratitude. I think that gratitude, if someone is struggling or they're in a bad mood, is I will say to a client, I want you to write down 50 things you're grateful for. By the way, I have an exercise on it. If anybody wants it, I'll email it to you. It's just 50 things you're grateful for. And when you look at your life from that perspective, it seems to change and to see what really is good, to look for the good. So some of the tools on that I hope that you will find useful in your own journey and how you're creating more life balance. Again, these are things that will help with that stress. So I like to close, and then we'll take a few questions. I like to close with a little bit of inspiration. And this is something I actually shared with the group earlier today. This is from Marianne Williamson, who wrote a book called A Return to Love. And she is a well-known, she actually ran for office a few years ago, but she's sort of a well-known author and spiritual leader. And Nelson Mandela used this passage in his inaugural speech when he became president of South Africa. And it goes like this: "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God, and your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. You were born to manifest the glory that is within you, and as you let your own light shine, you give other people permission to do the same. As you are liberated from your own fear, your presence automatically liberates others." So I want to encourage you from this discussion tonight, from these tools, to really think about how you can be brilliant and gorgeous and talented and fabulous in the world and create a life that has balance and joy and passion, and put that out into the world, because you will get that back to you, and go out there and have a very full, balanced life. So thank you guys tonight. And if you have any questions, I can take those. So thank you.
Could I ask a question, Jennifer?
Yes.
Would you be able to go back to the slide with the little boxes? That one right
This
there.
one? Yes, inspired action items.
Okay, so let's say we were going to work on the wheel, and then we were going to find kind of the weak points on there.
Okay.
After like 3 or 4 months or so, what would be a good accomplishment for somebody? How many would be a good accomplishment for somebody to, or can you make it that kind of deal?
Well, I think it depends on, let's say let's take career, and if one of your boxes is to find a new job, as opposed to update my resume, update my LinkedIn profile, make 2 calls a week. See, this is really meant to break it down. So if you put something big on there, like find a new job, find a new house, looking at this a few months down the road, that would be a difficult thing to measure. I think what's better, this is really a tool to use for the wheel to increase your level of satisfaction. Instead of looking at the number of items you've accomplished, I would go back to your wheel and say, how satisfied am I now after 4 months having done some action items?
So maybe try to rescore.
And rescore your wheel as opposed to the actual number of items you're doing. Although I will say this about the number of items. I do believe if you try to do 3 things a day, that's 15 items a week if you're only looking at weekdays. That's 60 items a month. If you do 60 action items a month towards a more satisfied life, how could your life not be happier? If you take 60 steps towards improving your life. So make sure that the things that you put on this list are actually things that really resonate with you, that you do believe will lead you to more satisfaction in one of these life areas. Make sure that's why instead of just saying what actions will you take, I call it inspired action items, because I really want it to align and resonate with you. So does that answer your question, Dan?
It does. Who has questions for Jennifer? Raise your hands, please.
And I'm a life coach, so fair game on anything.
Fair game.
Yes.
Let's not be scared. Who's got a question or a comment that you'd like to make? Uh-oh. Right here.
Okay.
Say your first name, please, Ken.
Jennifer, my name is Ken. This is
Ken.
kind of a funny story, and
Okay.
I'd like to get some feedback from the women on this when it
Okay.
comes to their husbands and gift giving. Normally, I'm fairly good at gift giving, but this Christmas I gave my wife an epic fail. I mean, it was so bad, she asked me to take it back, and I was crushed because of it. And I've talked to some women who, when it comes to gift giving, they just said, don't give me anything, you don't know what I like, et cetera. So I'd like to hear some of the comments from some of the other women who are brave enough to share a funny story about their relationship with their significant other, their husband.
Okay, I'll address that real quickly. I do think that women need to be honest with their partners. If you say to them, I don't want anything, they take it as you don't want anything. So don't say, I don't want anything when you really do want something. I think you're really better off to be honest and to be upfront and to say, you know, here's some things that I would really love that would mean a lot to me. And write it down and give them a list if you want to, or give them the links where they can buy it online. Make it easy for them. And I don't believe it takes the romance out of it. I believe in asking for what you want. As I like to say, not asking is an automatic no, unless they're a mind reader. So I think I'm putting it on the women a little bit in response to what you've said, because I don't, from my observation, myself included, is we expect our partners to know us and to know everything that we want and what will make us happy, when they try really hard and just sometimes it's just a misfire, as you like to say. So anyone else have a story or comment about that?
Right here.
Yes.
I'm Jill.
Hi, Jill.
Valentine's Day, I say to my husband, you know, I really don't want to go anywhere for dinner this year. And he says to me, oh, that's okay. I hadn't planned anything. Instead of saying, are you sure you don't want to go out for dinner? He just says, it's okay. I didn't plan anything anyway.
So that's my point, is that don't say I don't want to and then expect them to have done something different. We come up with all kinds of expectations for people, and I've learned that as the clearer that we are, the better it is for both people, actually. So, great. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments about anything? Anybody willing to share one of their inspired action items with us? Anybody willing to do that?
I realize it can be really personal sometimes about what people want to.
Right here.
Yes.
Excellent.
Okay.
My name's Leisha. I hear a lot of people call themselves life coaches.
Yes.
And I've always wondered, like, is there education? Is there certification? How do you know if somebody's qualified, not qualified?
Okay, great question. So the coaching industry is not regulated like a therapist. We do not have a regulated industry to be licensed. We don't have license. But we do have training. We have accredited schools. I got my particular training from the Coaches Training Institute, which was one of the first accredited schools for coaching. They were, I think, one of the first 20 schools when I took my training. What I think is important about that, a lot of people, what I think the difference is, a lot of people call themselves coaches, and they're really consultants. And what the difference is, a coach in its true sense and true definition, a coach is there to ask you questions, to help you find your answers within yourself. We come from the premise that every client that we work with is creative, resourceful, and whole. We are not there to fix them. We are actually there to join them on a journey of their life. I like to use the metaphor when I'm talking to someone who's thinking about hiring a coach. I say, we're going to go on a trip together, and we're going to go in the car. You're going to be in the driver's seat. I'm going to be in the passenger seat, and I'm going to be navigating. So at the next stop sign, you've got to decide, do you want to go to the beach or the mountains? Or you still don't know, we'll just keep going. Because if you want to go to the beach, we need to turn left. When the mountains need to turn right. I'm there to help navigate. I'm there to ask the questions, well, where would you like to go? What did you pack? What makes sense? If you can imagine the metaphor. So I like to say that I co-create with my clients, and I'm on a journey. What I can tell you, if you consider hiring a coach, to me, it's not as much, I do believe that coaches need training. We are working with people in their lives, and words are powerful and they have impact. So it is important to work with somebody who has training as a coach. But I think one of the other things that's really important is, do you feel connected to the person you're talking to? For instance, I offer anybody who ever wants to work with me, I don't do free coaching, but I offer a 30 to 45 minute, what I call informational session, in which we talk about things. You know, I ask them what they want coaching for, what are their expectations, what do they hope to get out of this process together. I talk about how I work and what we're doing. It's called Designing the Alliance. And so the important thing to know about a coach is to make sure that you feel comfortable with that coach, you trust them, and you feel good about it, because what it really is it's a relationship. So I hope that's answered your question. There is something called the International Coaches Federation, which does accredit schools. It does certified coaches. There are coaches at many different levels. And also there are coaches that they have, a lot of coaches have niches. You'll hear executive coaches, business coaches, career coaches, all kinds of coaches. I think if someone has coaches training, I believe in the purity of coaching. I coach at the executive level. I coach moms at home. What I'm looking for as a coach, I'm looking for someone who really wants to change their lives. I'm looking for someone that really wants their life to be in a different place than where it is. So I'm looking for that level of desirability when I take on a client, more than what type of coaching it is, because I believe coaching, if you're a good coach, coaching is coaching. So that's my belief on it. You're welcome.
Other questions? Anybody have a comment or a question? Well, my only comment is maybe next semester, can we get you to teach that salsa dancing class? I'm ready to go. It sounds great. Let's thank our speaker for coming from Kentucky tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much.
We appreciate it.
Thank you. And again, I've got a couple of extra copies of my book.
Yeah.
So I've got 2 extra copies for sale. If anybody's interested, they're $20. I take cash, check, charge, anything you'd like. So I've got a couple with me. And again, there's also some postcards if anybody is interested in a 30-minute session, just to, if there's something that you heard tonight that you'd like some clarification on, 30 minutes, I'm not going to charge you, or if you're interested in learning more about coaching for yourself, please feel free to email or call me.
And are those cards?
They should be at the front there, at the desk where you checked in as well. So thank you, guys.
Thank you for coming out tonight, everybody, for our first session. We hope to see you Thursday night. Thursday night's a little special. We're going to start with a 6:30 social half-hour. Program starts at 7, and then we've got a great program from Timothy Anglin on Tuesday. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Good night.
Thank you.